You are Locked On 76ers Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Philadelphia, on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Oh, boy, oh, boy. Oh, I looked down at my phone right before we come on here, and I have somebody responding to my tweet to promote that we're actually going to be doing the show tonight, And Ari, my man Ari, loyal listener of my daily podcast and a loyal follower of all the Phillies postcasting we did and all that stuff, just said, tough game. Sorry, Broseph. And I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Because this sucks. Let's call this what it is. This sucks. To be a 76ers fan right now and support this in any way, going to games, paying for tickets, oh my goodness gracious. But if you are going to go, make sure you use the Gametime app, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, which is the fine sponsor of this program today, where you can get $20 off your first purchase on the Gametime app and use promo code LOCKEDONNBA. So do yourself that favor. If you just have a hankering for 76ers basketball, at least save yourself some money, as the Sixers are saving money on you, more or less. And they're not going to put out their best product, which is a healthy Joel Embiid, a load-managed Joel Embiid with knee management, not a knee injury. Oh, no, because that would be a definitive lie. It wouldn't just be misleading, but just, knee management. If they're going to roll that out there and be like, yeah, you know what? He's not going to be playing tonight, but you still spend top dollar. Yeah, that kind of sucks. We're going to get into Sham Charania's report of Joel Embiid and the Sixers misleading the fan base. They didn't lie. They just misled, which is to me more or less the same thing. And they didn't find anything wrong other than $100,000 worth of misleading comments. But the investigation said that they did not violate the league's policy of resting healthy players, but yet got fined $100,000. That's funny. I felt like that was a win for the fan base. But anyway, we're going to get into that. We're, of course, going to get into the game tonight as well as the 76ers. I know when you look at the box score, if let's say you missed the game and the Sixers lost by 10, you're like, oh, they lost by 10. I mean, that's not great, but it's not a blowout. This was a blowout. The final score might not reflect a blowout, but you lost to an 0-4 Pistons team. Granted, you were 1-2 coming into tonight, but you were coming off your by far best game of the season. Tyrese Maxey's best game of I'll say the first week of the season, as he dropped 45 points and scored 25 points in 28 minutes, whatever it was, against the Indiana Pacers. The Sixers came out tonight and looked flat. The Sixers came out in that second quarter, and again, in each one of their now 3 losses, the second quarter has been the pit of despair for the 76ers. And this time around, it was no different. They lose 32-19. They get blown out by 13 points. In a quarter, that's a blowout alone. And as the game went on, the Sixers, anytime they tried to get their heads back into it, bang, a Hardaway 3. Jaden Ivey knocks down a 3. Cade Cunningham driving layup and 1, goes to the line, converts. Or there was a blown call from the officiating crew, and Nick Nurse, oh boy, I am 100% on his side when it comes to him showing his frustrations, both with what's going on with his team on the court and what's going on with his team that can't quite yet step onto the court. We'll get into all that as the show goes on. And of course, Tobias Harris. Tobias Harris played in his first game against the 76ers since leaving the 76ers at the end of his 5+ year deal. Well, 5 years on the contract, an additional year, the half a year being acquired at the trade deadline with the Jimmy Butler led 76ers with Joel Embiid and JJ Redick and Ben Simmons and that squad. Mike Scott, the regional manager, and who can forget Boban Marjanovic. All that is a thing of the past. And Tobias Harris came into South Philadelphia tonight and got booed every time he touched the ball. The possession boo. I got to say, Tobias Harris was certainly stealing money. Let's call it what it is. Another deceiving thing. If you look at his box score, you see 17 points, you see 8 rebounds a game in his time here with Philadelphia, and it never was really that player. Never was that player. underachieving year after underachieving year. And, of course, he wasn't Jimmy Butler. Now, was that his fault? No. Was he going to decline a $180 million deal from the Sixers? Hell no. Did Elton Brand have to sign him to that deal? Well, he certainly felt like he did, because at the time he was the man wheeling and dealing, looking to cash in a lot of the chips left over in the early stages of the post-Colangelo process era 76ers. He dealt for Jimmy Butler, couldn't keep Jimmy Butler. He dealt big for Bobby, for Mike Scott, and for Tobias Harris, dealing picks beyond picks. 2 firsts, 3, if you include Landry Shamet, as a matter of fact. And then also dealing 2 second-round picks, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, that's a lot. And you weren't just going to not re-sign Jimmy Butler or Tobias Harris. One of them had to get re-signed. Jimmy Butler apparently did not like Brett Brown, did not like Ben Simmons, and, well, bye-bye. And then the next guy up was Tobias Harris. Of course he was going to sign that deal if the Sixers offered it to him, and I knew that, and I knew what Tobias Harris was. He was maybe a decent 3. At least that's what you expected him to be when he signed that long-term deal, that max contract with the Sixers, and he wasn't that. He never came close to it. And I know he had said while he was here with the 76ers that he needed to make his role over and over and over again, whether it was with Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, whether it was with James Harden and Joel Embiid. He always had to remake his role. And then all of a sudden, Tyrese Maxey comes on strong. He had to remake his role to all of a sudden be a 4-man, a 4th man in the democratic scoring policies of the NBA, a 4th man in. And then he reminded me actually a lot of 76ers Tobias Harris tonight, when especially in the first quarter and the second quarter, he was making great drives to the basket and clank off the rim. Couldn't finish to save his life. And I'm like, that guy looks familiar. I remember that guy. But he went out there tonight. He ended up with 18 points and 14 rebounds. Huh? Tobias Harris? Good Lord. That's what you got tonight from Tobias Harris. All in all, you see it there on the sides there. Again, he was booed every time he touched the ball. 18 points, 14 rebounds. Maxey had the game-high 32 points. A rough one for Maxey in this. He goes out there tonight and absolutely did what you expected him to do, which is be the heart and soul of the team and the leading scorer. Well, the game-high 32 certainly proved that. But how about this? Tyrese Maxey tonight, 12 of 25 shooting. Not god-awful by any means. Pretty good. 32 points, 2 of 10 from beyond the arc. You'd certainly like to see that be better. Not the case tonight, unfortunately. But then this is the part that's the most glaring. Ready for this? This is fun. So he made 12 buckets. The next man up was with 5, and that was Kelly Oubre, who shot 5 of 14 for 13 points in total, was the Sixers' second leading scorer. After Kelly Oubre, with his 5 buckets tonight, the next highest number in field goals made for the Sixers was 3. That ain't getting you help. That ain't helping anybody. It's all about what Tyrese Maxey does. And there were 1 or 2 instances in this game tonight where I thought, oh, here we go. Tobias Harris. Tyrese Maxey was going to step up and really get a run going. There was a couple of moments there with Caleb Martin knocking down some threes, helping out this Sixers squad, getting the ball rolling a little bit. And it really came in after that big run that the Pistons had in the second quarter, where it ended up posting a 15-0 run. Holland was able to knock down a little jumper to make it a 15-0 run. I think it ended up being a 17-4 run for the Pistons. And before you could blink, it ended up being 37-30. They extend that to 52-42. And it just kept rolling. At the end of that second quarter, though, you had the Harris alley-oop lay-in. That was when he started to get things going a little bit. Maxey hit a 3 to give him 19 points in the first half. And then by the end of the first half, it was 54-45. And then in the third quarter, the same thing. The Pistons just continued to control. Fourth quarter, Sixers had nothing. They cut the lead at one point to 79-64 after Maxey had an alley-oop to KJ Martin, and he thought maybe something gets going after that. Nothing got going after that. Maxey needs help. And when we come back, we're going to talk about the most frustrating thing by far. And I know it's against the, I don't know, it's taboo for a coach to actually speak his mind on the subject of his players' health. But Nick Nurse knows this is Bush. Nick Nurse knows this is absolutely horrible. Now, the Paul George fiasco, at least we saw him get injured. That happened in the preseason. And I could understand an older player now like Paul George just inked a nice deal for himself. I understand that the Sixers want to be extra cautious with him. And I understand to a point that the Sixers want to be cautious with Joel Embiid as well. But how do you play in the Olympics and then you're not ready to play? There was no setback, as has been acknowledged by the team. No setback for Joel Embiid. This is just, once again, knee management. We'll talk about that when we come back. This is Locked On 76ers postcast on the Locked On Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. My name is Mark Farzetta. Make sure you hit like and subscribe on the Locked On Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. And also, don't forget about this. This is incredible. Your favorite podcast now has a newsletter. Yeah, that's right. Introducing the Locked On 76ers daily newsletter. One stop for ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox. Sign up for free now at LockedOnDaily.com. That's LockedOnDaily.com. And start your day with the all-new, free Locked On 76ers newsletter. More after this on Locked On Sports Philadelphia. How about that Gametime app I mentioned? If you're going to go to a game, especially one like the Sixers right now, you might as well save some money. And that's when you can use Locked On NBA as your promo code when you download the Gametime app, and you can save yourself $20 with your first purchase when you use promo code LOCKEDONNBA on the Gametime app. I mean, how exciting is it to be at an NHL game and hear that hit against the boards, the sound of the horn when a goal is scored? How awesome is it to be there at the stadium, at the arena, when you hear or you see in the NBA a big jam being thrown down, a big slam dunk, a big block, a fast break going the other way, ending in that slam dunk. There's nothing better than being there. That's right. And Gametime has you covered for all of it. Gametime is a new feature, as a matter of fact, called Gametime Picks. That makes getting tickets to your favorite teams to see play live and in person even easier. Gametime Picks filters out all the fluff, so you'll only get incredible deals on great seats. That's all you see. It cuts right down to brass tacks. You just see the best seats for the best prices on the Gametime app. So you don't even have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. That's when you use the Gametime Picks feature on the Gametime app. And how about the all-in pricing feature on the Gametime app as well? How many times do you go to a ticketing site or an app and you go to check out and then you see, whoa, where do these convenience fees come from? And all of a sudden these $30 tickets are now $35 or $40? I don't think so. So you toggle this feature, the all-in pricing feature, on the Gametime app that allows you to see your checkout price before you check out, so you take the guesswork out of buying tickets. You can also view your seat before you buy it, so you really take the guesswork out of buying tickets, and you always get the lowest price guarantee. Now, what does that mean? Well, that means the Gametime guarantee is what it means. If you find tickets in the same section in row for less money with another site or app, the Gametime app will credit your account 110% of the difference. How about that? They also have last-minute ticket deals, flash ticket deals. So let's say you want to go to a concert or a comedy show. You can use the Gametime app to download those tickets, get those tickets. But you might miss the opening act. You might miss the opener. But you'll see that headliner that you always wanted to see for an amazingly low price when you take advantage of their ticket deals for an hour after the event starts. So once again, take the guesswork out of buying tickets with the Gametime app. Download the Gametime app to your phone, create an account, use promo code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. That's LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, use redemption code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Download the Gametime app today. What time is it? Game time. Here's what's going on, ladies and gentlemen. Joel Embiid is extremely frustrating, and as the 76ers struggle to now the tune of 1-3 on the young season, I get more and more frustrated with Joel Embiid. That is certainly something that makes me angry, the fact that he's not partaking in these games. The other thing that makes me angry is, and I feel bad for Nick Nurse in this situation because it is frustrating as all hell. And it legitimizes my own frustration when I see the head coach of the basketball team getting frustrated. In case you haven't followed this bouncing ball throughout the week of Nick Nurse press conferences, 2 days ago, he's addressing the media about Joel Embiid and Paul George, and they're asking for an update on Paul George and Joel Embiid. Paul George, ramp it up. They're playing 5-on-5. That's good. Hey, of all the other stuff going on, I am delighted to hear that they're playing 5-on-5. I am delighted to hear that it's not just 1-on-1. I'm just ecstatic to hear that they're not backing down 5'5" trainers, that they're actually playing basketball 5-on-5. That's nice to hear. But when you consider all the other circumstances that surround this, it's quite frustrating. And to see Nick Nurse, when he was addressing the media, and he was asked about it, he said, oh, yeah, the practice 5-on-5 is great. Gets a question about something else, then boom, gets asked another question about Joel Embiid, and he goes, oh, I'm not answering that. Anybody else? Everyone gets the updates, right? Everyone gets the updates. We all get the updates. I got the updates. You got the updates. We all get the updates. We have the updates. I'm not talking about it anymore. That's it. Other questions? So about the Pistons. Okay, thank you. You asked me about the Pistons and not Joel Embiid or Paul George. Thanks. And then tonight, before this embarrassing loss to the Detroit Pistons, he gets asked once again about Joel Embiid and whether or not this is fair to the fan base. Is it fair to the fan base? Well, the obvious answer is no. And if Nick Nurse was simply just a company man and just looking to bang the drum for the franchise and everything my bosses do is great, he didn't take that route. I give him a lot of credit. If he's a poker player, you're stealing his money because you could read it right off his face how frustrated he is with this whole situation. And I'm going to go ahead and do you one better. I don't even think it's just him. I think it goes all the way up to Daryl Morey. I don't think he's just tickled pink about how this is going. I don't think this is Daryl Morey's idea. I don't even think this is the Sixers' idea. I think the Sixers are in a scenario right now where they're just like, Joel, did you play basketball tonight? No. Okay. When do you think he'll be ready? End of the week. Oh, yeah? Okay. Well, it's at the end of the week. Can you play yet? No. Okay. What do you think he can... Remember when you were playing in the Olympics and you're healthy and then all of a sudden you weren't and there was no setback? Could you play for us now? No. Okay. All right, Joe, just let us know. Hey, remember that $170 million we just gave you in a contract extension? Yeah. Well, could you play? Still no. All right. Please? No. All right. Nick Nurse is the one that has to take it on the chin, unfortunately, for this entire franchise, because he's the one that's going out there in front of the microphones way more than anybody else. And I found it very interesting that the Sixers still got fined $100,000 for misleading comments, to use the words of Sham Sharani of ESPN. Misleading comments. So what are we doing here? There's no explanation other than Joe's just not ready to play yet. And I don't think this is the Sixers being extra cautious. I think this is the Sixers dancing to the beat set by Joel Embiid and Joel Embiid's camp. Other than just Nick Nurse showing his frustration before the game, and then certainly looking frustrated throughout the game. Foul calls, what have you. The one push off by Stewart that wasn't called on Yabusele that ended up being a 3-point play, I believe. Yeah, three-pointer got knocked down by Hardaway, I think it was, from the perimeter. Nick Nurse is out there battling, trying to do as much battling as he can for his team. That's not battling for him, unfortunately. But I think he showed his frustration on the court tonight. He certainly showed his frustration before the game during his press conference. And I think him and Daryl Morey are absolutely on the same page. Because if you remember, at the end of the season, when Daryl Morey was asked about Joel Embiid, his goal, his dream of playing in the Olympics and wearing USA across his chest for his son Arthur. And look, hey, I'm a father of young kids. That's beautiful. Okay, that's beautiful. But when it's at the expense of the fan base that has supported you throughout your entire NBA career, that's tough, man. Especially it's the fan base that's supporting you getting that 170 plus guaranteed tacked onto your contract. That's a tough pill to swallow. And I know the Sixers are going above and beyond, and Joel Embiid is going above and beyond to be ready to play in the playoffs and be the MVP version of himself in the playoffs. Well, if Joel Embiid's goal this year is to log 55 games at most, and then he's not ready for the playoffs, light a match. It's over. And I know there's enough people out there that already think it's over, but I'm still holding on to a little bit of hope that maybe, just maybe, this management idea that the 76ers have in place right now and Joel Embiid seems to have in place for himself is the last-ditch effort to get any type of even close to championship run out of the Joel Embiid process era 76ers or post-process era 76ers. That's what I'm crossing my fingers for, but I'm not optimistic. But let's just live in that world for just 1 second. Let's just live in that world for 1 second, where he plays 50 games, 55 games, whatever it is, and the Sixers still get bounced out at best in the second round. Then what are we doing here? What are we doing? It's the same play. It's the same movie. I know how it ends, and it sucks. And then we don't even get to enjoy 70 games of Joel Embiid. We don't even get to enjoy an MVP regular season of Joel Embiid because he won't have played enough games to qualify. And in the meantime, are we sure Tyrese Maxey is not just going to be running himself into the ground throughout every game that Paul George and Joel Embiid miss? And this is assuming that Paul George comes back and he's 100% healthy for the rest of the year. Also unlikely. But meanwhile, Tyrese Maxey just going out there playing 40 minutes a night. Good Lord. Nobody else is making more than 5 buckets. Oh, man, he's going to need some help. He's going to need a lot of help. Because I don't want to see it go by the wayside to the expense of Tyrese Maxey. One of the things I love so much about that Pistons win, one of the things I love so much about that Pacers win was that you really saw that, like, with the idea that Paul George was going to play in this game against the Pistons, and then that ended up not being the thing. Maxey, you could tell. And also, we were told that Paul George might be playing. That was a report from Ramona Shelbourne. We were told that just the first week of the season that Joel Embiid wasn't going to play, but he'd probably be ready after that. Tyrese Maxey's probably playing that game Sunday against the Pacers going, I just got to get 1 win under my belt. I just got to get this. I can't be 0 whatever before Joel Embiid comes back. I can't be winless. I got to get my own win here. And he balled out in the third quarter, fourth quarter, and well into overtime with 13 points in the overtime frame against the Pacers. Tried to carry that into tonight. Hit a little bit of a cold spell for himself. Still ended up with 32 points. Still shot 12 for 25 from the floor. Still shot 6 of 7 from the free throw line. Again, 20% from 3 is not great. It's terrible, actually. But you could tell that this is affecting him, that he has this weight on his shoulders. So are the Sixers going to give him a break at some point? Like, I just keep going back to it. What are we doing here? I was hopeful in the beginning of the year, before Paul George got hurt, that the Sixers, without Joel Embiid playing in, like I said, been saying 55 games, with him playing only in 55 games at the max, I was thinking, okay, well, Paul George and Tyrese Maxey and the supporting cast that the Sixers have, those two guys is the 1-2 punch, and then everybody else, that should be enough to at least sustain around a 5th playoff seed, at worst a 6th playoff seed. And then Joel Embiid comes in, hopefully nice ramp up last month of the season, going into the postseason. He plays himself into shape. The Sixers get themselves all the way up to the 3rd playoff seed, maybe 4th at worst. Now it looks like they won't even be able to do that, especially when we have no idea what you're going to get from Paul George this year, assuming that he comes back 100% and whatever the management after this point is going to be with Joel Embiid. It's I shouldn't say it's unbelievable. It's absolutely believable because we've watched this a lot. And starting out like this after he played in the Olympics for this fan base, that's a gut punch. And one of the things, I've said this before, but it's worth reiterating, one of the things I actually came around on with him playing in the Olympics was, at least I know he's playing basketball. At least I know he'll be in shape. And he showed up to camp down, 20 pounds, looking great. And then, oh, by the way, he's not ready to start the season. Say what now? I don't think that Nick Nurse is in a thought of what did I get myself into. And I know some people have started talking about that. I think he knew what he was getting himself into. But Nick Nurse showed me a lot tonight. And one of the things that he was talking about in between Joel Embiid questions at his press conference yesterday at practice was the idea of having heart and playing strong and playing physical and being determined. And he said in that win over the Pacers, he finally saw it from his team. Well, tonight, I saw Tyrese Maxey leave it out there on the court. I definitely saw Nick Nurse leave it out there on the court. I saw Kelly Oubre doing whatever it is Kelly Oubre could possibly do to help this team win. Andre Drummond was getting beat off the glass. He ended up with 11 boards tonight in 28 minutes. But there was just some tips that did not go his way, and he got out-athletic to those rebounds, unfortunately. And then I got one more shout-out. Jared McCain came in and in 22 minutes scored 12 points. I know he got some minutes there in the fourth quarter. They were just kind of running things, but he was not afraid. He might not have performed at a high level by any means, but he was not afraid to try to throw that basketball down and try to get after the glass and try to get after the rim and attack. And he did that throughout the night. 22 minutes, 3 of 9 shooting, 0 for 1 from beyond the arc, 6 for 6 from the free throw line, 12 points in total. Good Lord. It's rough. Let's get into our chat check before we get out of here. I got Chad Crawford. What's going on, Chad? How you doing, bud? Missed the game, but by the sound of it, new players the Sixers got are not good. That's not great. Caleb Martin, 7 points, 2 of 10 from 2 of 10 shooting. Not great. Andre Drummond, 3 for 5. This is about what I expect from Andre Drummond. 28 points, though, that's still a lot for him. 9 points, 11 rebounds. Meh. Kyle Lowry, 20 minutes, 3 points. Kelly Oubre, 5 for 14, 13 points. Yabusele, 2 for 3 from beyond the arc, 3 for 4 from the floor, 8 points. I mean, I don't want to read the whole box score to you, but yeah, it could be better than this. It should be better than this. Sir Sketchable, what's going on? Fars Dog, what's going on, Sir Sketchable? Do you think Maxey enjoys being teammates with guys who don't like to play basketball? Nope. He doesn't. I think all you could do is look forward to when those guys actually come back. I know the old sports phrase is it's not how you start, it's how you finish. It's kind of about how you start sometimes too. Especially if the Sixers, oh God, can't get over the hump that they're in right now. I like Oobs. Is that Kelly Oubre's new name? Oobs? I like Oobs, but he absolutely can't be your second option. I know! He's supposed to be your fourth. Behind Embiid, behind Maxey, behind Paul George. Kelly Oubre is supposed to be the next guy that could score. Good Lord, this is terrible. Thanks, Sir Sketchwell. I appreciate you. Coming up next for your 10-9-8 76ers, they're going to be back at it Saturday night, 7:30 against the Grizzlies. Sixers right now 1-3 on the season. Grizzlies 2-2 on the year. Grizzlies most recently played yesterday. They took a loss, 126 to 123 against the Chicago Bulls. So that's a good time. That's a great time. Zach LaVine dropped 30 in that one, by the way. Still wouldn't mind seeing him in a Sixers uniform, but don't see that happening now. Hey, make sure you hit like and subscribe on the Locked On Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. That's Locked On Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. As far as Tobias Harris goes, I want to make sure I get this in as well. I liked how Locked On Sixers podcast co-host, Keith Pompey said it on Twitter. In the beginning of the game, they were just booing Tobias Harris whenever he touched the ball. by the second half of the game, they were just booing the Sixers. And that's pretty much true. And Tobias Harris's return to South Philadelphia. That's the way that one breaks down. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Once again, make sure you hit like and subscribe on the Locked On Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Be back with you guys Saturday night, hopefully after a Sixers win and a Joel Embiid debut, baby, and Paul George debut against the Memphis Grizzlies. Thanks, everyone. Really appreciate it. Again, my name is Mark Farzetta. Hit like and subscribe on the Locked On Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. See you guys Saturday night. Bye.